Hey guys, welcome to episode 10 of WhatMS. It's been a while since we've done any recording. Me and Buster have tried to record this episode probably about 10 times now and failed miserably. So this is our last shot at actually doing it without laughing and getting embarrassed and feeling awkward. The reason that I've roped Buster into doing it with me is because Sam, unfortunately, has had to step down from helping me with this podcast due to kind of various other commitments. She's super busy. Murphy is climbing all over us, which is adorable yet annoying. But she does still do her podcast with her friend Jordan, which I will link in the description box, so you can keep up to date with what Sam's been up to. And also her Instagram handle if you don't already follow her on social media. So for now, Buster is going to help me do this, aren't you?
Yes, I will.
So this week's episode, we've decided to talk about hospital days and just sort of general hospital appointments and just what they entail and the lead up to them and just what it's like really having a chronic illness and having to go to hospital all the time. So last week we drove down to London and had our first sort of like hospital day in air quotes as a couple. And that was so Buster could have some blood tests, and I will let him explain as to why.
Yeah, and that's what made us think of this topic for the podcast, because it was so relevant, and we'd then experienced it together after doing our journeys separately for so long, and we realised we got stressed by similar things. And everything in the build up to a hospital day, and then including actually going to the hospital on the day as well. It's all very stressful, isn't it? But like, we did quite well together for our first time. I went back to have blood tests because I'm going back on treatment. So they're just routine blood tests to check that you haven't got anything before you go on an immunosuppressant. So that would then cause any existing condition to flare up really badly. So they're just like blanket tests. So it doesn't really mean a great deal, and it doesn't really sound like a lot. But in the build up to it, I was, you noticed change in my character and everything. And as I was getting more worked up in my own head about the impending hospital appointment, which is it's a big thing. It's a big thing. So we took a day out, didn't we?
We did.
And we took a long drive down to my hospital in London. So it took us 2.5, 3 hours or something.
I did quite well driving through central London.
You did very well. You did very well.
Yeah, but I think the thing we were talking about was that I think what people that don't have a chronic illness don't realise is that how stressful just a really simple routine hospital appointment or doctor's appointment can be. We obviously all cope with it in our own ways, but we do have. Well, I think it's quite similar for everyone, really. But yeah, I had a hospital appointment earlier in the week, which was not even MS related, and it was just the most stressful thing ever. It should have been so simple, but it was like I ended up crying, I ended up snotting into my COVID mask and like having a meltdown, and it was literally just the most routine like appointment. But it was all fine in the end. But it's just, I don't know, I think when you've been through trauma, especially medical trauma, especially severe medical trauma, when you've been through all sorts of things, sort of you can get triggered quite easily. And to any kind of normal person, in air quotes, a hospital appointment or a blood test, for example, is not a big deal. Like, you know, I'll just pop and go and have a blood test. But actually, it's everything that blood test or appointment represents.
Yeah, it sort of becomes like a white coat syndrome almost in a way, doesn't it? So just anything associated with hospitals, and then like as a result, I'm quite like needle phobic as well, and I don't think it's not blood that gets to me, it's the actual needles and the doctors and stuff, and it just puts me on edge. So yeah, it's just like you say, trauma and bad memories associated with the day.
Yeah, it's just been when you, I don't know about you, but like when you're just done with people poking and prodding you, and just the fact that you have to go in itself is like, because you just don't want to, and it is also like confirmation to yourself that you are ill still, like. And I feel like we try to not think about being ill as much as we can, like, well, I know I do, well, we both do, and obviously having to go to these appointments is like a reminder that we're sick, and it's a bit shit, really.
Yeah, and that's especially the case with mine, because I had a big treatment at the start of this year that was meant to be the treatment to end all treatments, wasn't it? So there was a potential that I wouldn't have had to go back to hospital for anything pressing in the near future. Whereas I have decided since having the big treatment at the start of the year that it hasn't worked as well for me as I had hoped, or the doctors had hoped. So we decided the best route for me is to go back on treatment, which is great. And I've been approved for it, which is wonderful. And I'm getting it all on the NHS, which is again great. And I'm very thankful for it all. But again, it brings up that you've got to go back to hospital, and reminds you again, like you say, that you are ill still.
Yeah.
And it's quite a big thing as well, just to admit to myself that the treatment, which was probably the most horrible thing you could put yourself through, that I did earlier in the year, was essentially a failure. So yeah, it's quite difficult to come to terms with all of it, I guess, as a whole. But we just crack on, don't we?
Yeah, and I think that's another thing. Like, obviously, it was a big thing. Obviously, getting approved for Ocrevus again, when technically you shouldn't have been. Was that the kind of?
Yeah, I think usually it's very unlikely for anyone to get approved for treatment on the NHS post stem cell transplant, which is, like I say, meant to be the final treatment that you have, regardless, because you're not going to get any better from that point, really, I guess, is the theory behind it. What was I saying?
Well, I was going to say that it's good that it's good that you've been approved for Ocrevus, but at the same time, it's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? So it's like, yay, like great success. You know, we've been thinking about, you know, are you going to get approved to go back onto treatment, because that was sort of what you wanted to do. But then actually, the fact that you have to go back onto treatment, like you say, is a bit shit. Well, very shit.
Yeah. But that's almost besides the point of today's episode.
Yeah, I've just gone on a tangent a little bit.
Yeah. The problems associated with hospital days as well. So we noticed me in the build up to my hospital day being a bit,
how would you say,
not myself.
How would you say you are before a pending?
Anxious. It's pure anxiety, isn't it? I think. But like, I stuff it quite deep down, and I don't whinge and moan to you, and then it comes out in other ways, doesn't it, of my character? So yeah, well done for putting up with me.
No, you're fine. I just need to feed you. But
yeah, there's also then the problems with hospital days that are more physical issues for me. Like, say we had a long car journey, and my bladder seems to be the size of a thimble now. So
well,
that's
we were
a
both
problem,
as bad.
Yeah.
So we So this is the thing. We put into categories like the issues surrounding hospital days. So obviously there's the physical issues, like Buster just said. So actually, having a chronic illness and having to be somewhere in general anyway is effort. Like,
it's a big ask, isn't it?
Be it a hospital day, but even be it like, I don't know, going out with your friends somewhere. Like, I don't know, you sort of have to take into account, like, physically, are you going to be able to cope with it? Like, how to sort of damage control the days around the day, because you're going to be tired before, you're going to try to preserve energy before, and then you're going to be tired afterwards. But yeah, I mean, we got up. Did we get up early? What time did we leave? The car
Not
journey.
super early, but we left at 9:30, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a whole day on the road.
Yeah.
Not many places to stop, shooting straight through the central London.
Yeah, so we stopped did we stop twice on the way down? And then we were trying to find like, let's check this is still recording, here it is. And then we were trying desperately to find a toilet in central London, which, you know, you would think, oh, you know, just hold it in. Well, we both have MS, we can't do that. So desperately trying to find somewhere to go to the loo, stopped at a garage, the guy wouldn't let us go in.
COVID, which is another thing that I've found quite restricting this year, is public toilets not being open, and it really does sometimes, in some cases, mean that I just can't go out at all, because I won't make it that far, and if I am caught out too far from a possible toilet opportunity, then it could be bad. So it will actually prevent me from leaving the house on a normal day. But then things like hospital days, they have to be done. So that's another thing to add to the build of anxiety. In the run up to it. But my other physical problems, obviously I can't see very well. I'm severely sight impaired. I don't know if I said that before on this. So even reading signs or getting bearings around the hospital, speaking with people, it's all difficult, and it's challenging and exhausting. It takes a lot from us as individuals, as sick individuals.
We made it to the toilet though.
We did make it to
the toilet. We did. We got to the hospital and packed up, and everything was fine, wasn't it? It was okay.
It was a bit battle station.
Yeah, it was
wasn't it?
we were just like go. But that was okay. But like Buster said, that is something that we have to take into account. Like if we're going anywhere anyway, and obviously with COVID and stuff, it's like just makes it like a million times worse. But what other physical things are there? Well, like you say, just fatigue and
and I can only walk a certain distance really before I need to rest. So it's quite a lot of walking all in. Like normally I'll check my pedometer at the end of the day, and I've done 3,000 steps. That's usually a good day for me. And on a hospital day, I'll do 9 or 10,000. So that's quite a big difference for me, and it's very exhausting. But we get it done because we have to.
That's it. We just, I'm just queen of disassociation, aren't I?
So
I'm just like this isn't happening. But so there's so the physical side of everything and the logistics of just trying to sort of organise, and I'm a nightmare anyway with having to get up early and sort myself out and have a shower and just
be on time,
which is just something I'm not great at. But we were fine. We were on time. We made it and we got back.
We did well.
We had takeaway that night.
We did. We treated ourselves. So that was another point we made.
That's what
Sorry, you were going to come on to that.
No,
I can't read your notes.
I can't read my own notes. But we will go on to that in a sec. But obviously, especially like the physical side of things, because I mean, obviously you said about your sight, and like when I went to the hospital the other day, like I get really panicked and overwhelmed by things, and like there was like a big massive queue outside of COVID, social distancing, and I sort of joined the queue, and then it meant that I was late for my appointment and I shouldn't have been in that queue, and I get really like panicky and muddled, and it was just awful. But again, I just don't think people really understand like as to why that is. But it's not that I'm just being awkward or like being drama or whatever. It's like it's actual like trauma that's in us that is being like activated by just like the simplest thing. That brings me on to the next point, which is the emotional side of things, and just having to go to hospital and knowing that we're going to have to go to hospital appointments for the rest of our lives is just, I don't know, it just
daunting.
It just doesn't
word, and it can be a little overwhelming at times, but like at the same time you do become accustomed to it and find ways of approaching it and dealing with it better as time goes on. With every hospital appointment, you get slightly more automated with it, don't you? So you just go in and get it done and get out, and yeah, it all runs smoothly normally. So Murphy,
I know Murphy's been adorable. Just sitting on both of our laps together. Yeah, I was going to say, like, what are your? I have my own little hospital day protocols, like that I do for myself. Like, what would you say yours are?
Well, I'd say mine are, first of all, get there. That's like, I've got to get up, I've got to get showered, I've got to get some breakfast in me of some kind, nothing too fancy. And then I get to the hospital, and then usually early to the hospital, Costa, treat myself, anything I want on a hospital day. And this is something else we talked about and we're going to go on to, is that we treat ourselves on hospital days to make the day a little less unpleasant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have a big old Costa and a raspberry and white chocolate muffin or something, and yeah, it's like cheap snacks all day as well.
Yeah.
So anything goes on a hospital day.
Yeah. Calories don't count on hospital
Yeah,
days.
exactly. We're burning more anyway with all the stress.
Yeah, exactly. Our brains are eating up all those carbs. Yeah, mine is chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk.
Snacks. I like snacks. I would always take snacks to the hospital. Snacks, lots of water. Don't know what else I do. I don't know. I generally try and make myself. It sounds really weird, but I always put makeup on and like make myself feel like nice when I'm going to a hospital appointment, like a big one. Like if I'm having my infusion or whatever, I don't just rock it like how I look most days. I actually see it as like, I don't know, like a day out and sort of, I don't know, just look after myself a bit, I guess.
Yeah, it's quite a valid point actually. I hadn't really thought about that because I guess I will always wear jeans to hospital, and I wouldn't wear jeans on a normal day. I'd be in my trackies because they're the most comfortable. And you think you'd want to be most comfortable at hospital, but I don't. I try and like I'm washed and I'm clean and I'm wearing clean clothes, and yeah, you look nice.
Yeah, that's a little ritual that I do myself. And then I just pack my little snack bag, take my water, get my chocolate milk.
Yeah. And if you're lucky, some of the snacks might still be there once you finish the journey there.
Never.
All consumed in the car on the way there.
I do love a car snack. What was I going to say? And then I don't know. I always take like, I don't know. Do you ever take stuff to do when you're there? I always take a book or something, and then just never ever end up actually reading it.
Yeah, I mean, I always like charge all my headphones and make sure I've got entertainment, and then I don't usually end up using any of it, but it's nice to know it's there in case of emergencies. I also pretty much always, as just reflex, pack an overnight bag, a small overnight bag, because you never know if you might be staying there. And like my hospital that I go to in London is quite a distance away from anywhere that I've been. It's a long way from here, but it's also a long way from my home with my dad or something. So always pack an overnight bag. You never know if they might want to keep you in or do something, or
not that organised.
Yeah, or you might need, in an emergency, change of trousers.
Yeah, this is true.
Spare trousers and pants are always a good one. So
yeah, that is a good shout. We definitely might have needed that. Last week. Well, I don't know. I just, to pass the time, I'm thinking more infusion appointments actually at the moment. I'm just thinking about, I think obviously
the big ones.
Yeah, I mean Buster's got his first, well not his first, but his first back on Ocrevus treatment on Friday.
Yeah, and it's quite a long infusion, especially the first one. The rate of it is pretty much controlled by how you react to it, but minimum you're going to be in there 3.5 hours, and max you could just end up being in there 6.5 or something. Plus they've got to do prep before you get started with the infusion, and give you some saline flushes and all of that, and then when you finish the infusion, they make you wait another hour as well to make sure you're safe to release. So that's a full day, like all in. You're sat in the infusion chair for 8 hours potentially. So you want to make yourself comfortable, and you want to make sure that you've scheduled everything around it well, because you want to be as quick either side of the treatment in the hospital as you can be. So lifts and travel, and it's all important.
It is. I had something to say then, and I've just completely forgot what it was.
I feel like I was throwing you off through that.
No, you're all good. I've got really bad brain fog. What was I going to say? Oh, it's completely gone now. But yeah.
When in doubt, refer to
I'm looking at the notes, but I can't even read them myself. This is what we were saying as well. Like, it's in like I'd like to think, like, how long have you been diagnosed now? Like 3 years?
Yeah, May 2017.
Yeah. And I was diagnosed in start of 2019. But yeah, I mean, we were saying it's just still like an ongoing thing. Like, we're still refining our hospital day protocols. Yeah,
this is by no means something that we've got a solution to,
no.
or we've figured out. We've just we've found ways to make it slightly easier or less painful.
Yeah.
But all in, we dread them, and we kind of we dread the idea of it and the actual day itself.
Yeah, it's just everything about it. And I think, I don't know, it's interesting for us obviously because we both have MS and we both have our own ways and methods of doing things. And
limited energy to do them all with as well. So
we're just sort of trying to combine our ways of doing things and seeing how it works out. But yeah, what is our plan for Friday is basically just after Buster's had his treatment, I'm going to pick him up and we'll just come back and chill and eat food and rest.
Takeaway. Last time we had a nice takeaway, didn't we? We treated ourselves.
Yeah.
Full-on burger, double portions of chips, everything. And it was and it was only a blood test, so it might seem silly. And we were only in the hospital technically half an hour, 20 minutes, weren't we? Just to get my bloods taken at phlebotomy. So it was a tiny day, but it was massive. It was exhausting, and the journey there, especially with the needing of the toilets and stuff, it was very intense, and you feel like you've earned it after that day, and you have.
Yeah, definitely.
You have. So treat yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it is also difficult because, like, I don't know, like the way I am before a hospital appointment, like if it was me that I was having my treatment next week, I just get really moody, like really just sort of like low key irritated, just with everything and everyone, and you just, I don't know, I just feel really anxious, like what you said, and it's like, I don't know, because you know that it's not even, it's more the waiting, I find. It's not the actual being there, because once I'm there and say I'm having Marcovus and I'm got the needle in me and I'm fine and I'm just talking to it, that's fine. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm used to that. Like I say, I'm very good at disassociating from sort of medical things, but it's the lead up to things. I think when you've got an appointment, be it a blood test or be it your infusion or whatever, like looming, like, it's not nice. It's horrible. Like, I know, like when I was waiting for my spinal surgery, it's obviously not MS related, but it was like, you just kind of want to get it out of the way and get it done, but at the same time you just also don't want to because you don't want to go. But yeah, I just sort of wanted to say, like, I don't know, I think people will always sort of like almost like play it down or feel bad about being a bit shitty with people, or feeling any kind of way about it. Like, you think, oh, like I said, like, oh, it's just a blood test, like, and you feel like you like end up shaming yourself. I know I do it, and it's like my appointment, the one I had the meltdown about the other day, it's like, well, it's just like a routine thing, but actually I had an absolute complete meltdown about it, and actually that's okay and that's normal, and it's like, it's okay to be moody because and stressy and upset and sort of deal with it however you want, because it's not a normal thing that people have to deal with usually, and especially like being so young and knowing that you have to go to hospital all the time, and
and you're the one that that pointed out to me that I am different in the build up to one of my appointments as well, and like that it's okay to be anxious because of it. And I'm sort of reasoning with myself in my own head going, it's only a blood test, Buster. And you're there, you're observing me biting all my fingernails off and just being a bit more of an anxious mess than I normally would be. And rightfully said, it's all right. Like, it's understandable to be nervous, and you get the same. So I'd never really thought about it really until we talked about it, and it's very relevant, and it's very understandable.
It's whatever the appointment is, like I say, be it a big infusion, big treatment appointment, or an MRI, or even like a simple blood test.
MRI is the worst. I hate an MRI. MRI or infusion. Yeah,
every time. Too. Yeah. MRIs are just boring. They're probably one of the least favourite. Do you get claustrophobic?
I don't, but they do ask me to make it an hour and a half without peeing, and I find that difficult. And then if I have to go halfway through a scan, they have to start it again when I go back. So I just have to make sure I last longer without peeing next time. So I really don't enjoy them. Plus the staying still is just difficult.
Yeah.
I'm quite a fidgeter. I think staying dead still for an hour and a half is really difficult when they do my head and my whole spine. That's how long it takes. That's a big ask.
I just disassociate. I literally just go somewhere else. I literally don't move. When I have an MRI, I just do not move. I don't mind. I'm literally perfect.
Yeah, well, they always compliment me. They every doctor that opens up your scans, they go, "Oh, you stayed very still," because they can obviously tell. And because they say that to you, you think, "Oh, I better get them a good image." So I'm gonna make it my duty to stay as still as possible. Like even small breaths for like an hour and a half. It takes a lot of focus. MRI is probably the worst day.
Yeah, not enjoyable.
Closely followed by infusion.
Yeah. And also I don't know, doctor's appointments. To be honest, I haven't actually had a proper neuro appointment or MS appointment, but I suppose that's COVID is sort of, I don't know, all mine have been rearranged. I don't know about yours. I was meant to have one at the end of this year, and it's been rearranged to summer next year or something.
Yeah. Well, I had my routine ophthalmology appointment to have my eyes tested, didn't I? Which got changed to an over-the-phone appointment, which isn't much use to me, I'm going to be honest, because it's an eye test.
Yeah.
And its sole purpose was to get figures. But anyway, I can tell you for a fact they're still awful. So we know that much.
Yeah, that was a bit frustrating, wasn't it? I was going to say something else as well, and again I've completely forgotten. Yeah, I was going to say, when you have hospital appointments, would you rather go on your own or have someone with you?
Have someone with me, but I'm a wimp, aren't I? So it was really nice to have you there for my blood tests, and like I said, I'm a little bit needle phobic. I'm a bit of a wuss with it, really. It's nice to have someone there, and someone that you trust. I think it's important to have people that you trust and people that make you feel relaxed on these days, because they could very easily blow up into something not so nice or whatever. So I'd usually go with my dad, and he's super understanding and treats me to whatever snacks I want for the entire day. So that's all good. I think it's important who you go with. Definitely don't go with anyone that you don't like.
Yeah,
that would probably more be the advice.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I don't know, I don't mind going to them on my own. It depends what it is, I think. And again it's all right. With COVID and stuff, obviously you're not allowed to have anyone with you, even just in the hospital, are you? I don't think you are. Just Well,
No,
we were together,
yeah.
weren't we? But I don't know.
Well,
if
we
that was
were
even
just
allowed.
in phlebotomy by the front door, but yeah, I was kind of getting the impression everyone was riding solo in that waiting room. But yeah, for the infusion, whereas before, like those 6 hours I would get to spend with another person, the person who's travelled with me, now they expressly tell you that you're not allowed to do that. So I'm not allowed to have anyone with me while I'm having the infusion. So yeah, definitely charge the headphones for this one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you allow people to sit with you? Like
No.
I mean pre-COVID.
Oh yeah.
I'm not allowed. Like,
oh really?
So I just make friends with everyone. That's what I end up doing. It's just talking to people rather than reading my book or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Some appointments I'm okay with on my own, but I just like to have someone with me to just, I don't know, just so in case I forget. Like I'm thinking more like neuro appointments and stuff now. Like I don't know, like when I was super poorly, I needed someone with me just because I just couldn't I couldn't advocate for myself at all, really.
Well, and it is a case of two minds are better than one, isn't it? When it comes to remembering things, and especially if you go with someone who knows you, like sees you day in day out, then that's ideal, isn't it? Because they pick up on things too, and they'll remember things that you forget. Always forget to say things in appointments, and you walk out the door and you're like, damn it. So yeah, it's good to have that insurance of someone with you to help you remember.
Yeah, I'll bring you with me next time. Good for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else have I got on my notes?
Got a whole 2 pages there.
I know. I've written in capitals. Basically, hospital is stressful.
Summary.
Which it definitely is. And then I've written underneath it, breakdown over nothing, which was like what I did the other day when it wasn't even an MS appointment, it was just for something else and very routine. And I don't know, it just sort of comes out of nowhere. And again, I think that's people will sort of shame themselves for feeling a kind of way, and you think, oh, I shouldn't be feeling like this, I'm just being a baby or whatever, when actually no, it's massive, and it's totally fine to be really anxious and stressed, even if it is a really kind of straightforward appointment. Yeah,
and they can go wrong very quickly as well, so you're prepared for the receptionist to tell you that they haven't got your appointment, or you're meant to be in this time next week or something like that. So it can get turned on its head very quickly, the hospital day, even if it's for something tiny, almost especially if it's for something small, because they don't it was hard loggings of it.
That's what happened to me. I don't know, it's stressful. I get really flappy and panicky about stuff, and I can't, my vision isn't great when I'm sort of, I don't know, I'm just sort of, and I'm autistic as well, so I sort of get really confused about things. And I don't know, I waited in this queue outside, and then the person at the door basically was like, you shouldn't have queued up. And I was just like, well, there was literally no one telling me that, I thought I was doing the right thing. And then I was 15 minutes late for my appointment, and then she was like, I can't do it. And I'm thinking in my head, I don't think you realise how much it's taken for me to just literally get here today. And the thought of having to go home again and have to do it all over again is just soul destroying. And I don't think, I think to a normal person, they'd be like, well, just come back another day. And it's but no, it's the emotional stress and the physical stress. And then being told, actually, it's not happening. You're like, sorry, what? But thankfully, she was nice, and she sort of made some time for me and got my appointment in, so thank God, because I was thinking, and that was another thing, I remember really needing the toilet that day as well, and I was like, I need the loo, this is just
that's very common
stressful
theme in the stress of
just need
most of my days.
But hospital day next week. When is it? Friday?
And I'll make sure I'm rested, got plenty of energy, do the obligatory not get a wink of sleep before I go, obviously, because that's just standard part of the procedure now. Just coordinate all the logistics of me getting around, because being severely sight impaired, I can't travel on my own anyway. I don't really have a choice. If I have someone with me at the hospital because I've got to get there somehow, and I can't walk very far, more than a few hundred meters, and I can't drive myself or take public transport because I can't even read the signs or something. So yeah, it's not. Yeah, I'm going to have someone with me, aren't I? What were we saying? What are we going on to say?
I don't know. Well, I think that's about it, really.
Yeah.
We just sort of...
It's a bit of a short episode, isn't it? But I think it's like a very valid thing in both of our lives, isn't it? And yeah, I didn't kind of give it the recognition that it deserved until we had this conversation, because it is anxiety inducing.
It's a lot.
And yeah, and it isn't just a blood test. It's what it signifies. It signifies the start of my new medical journey and the start of a new chapter of people sticking needles in me and my health going up and down. And it's exhausting trying to keep track of it as well. You know, I was very much looking forward to just not being on any treatment at all, because it's exhausting. You have to mentally keep track of how you're feeling so you can report back, and you want to report accurately, so you may have a symptom pop up and I won't even tell anyone about it for at least a week until I'm sure of it in my own head. So yeah, it's all part of the process that you don't even consider. I do it totally subconsciously, and I don't even give it any thought that it could be wearing me down, but it clearly does.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen firsthand it having effects on me just in the build up to a tiny blood test. So yeah, I
think you've just got to give yourself, I just would say to anyone with that has to go through it, just to give yourself a break and actually just know that it's just going to be probably a shitty couple of weeks, and and that's just how it is, and it's not personal to anyone around you. It's completely valid.
Yeah, and make the day run as smoothly as you can. So the things that are in your control, like the timings and the logistics and who you're with and what you eat that day, make all of those work. Make all of them nice. Be prepared and ready and have plans. There's no shame in being so uncool to have plans for a blood test day, but they run a lot smoother in general through my experience if you plan for it.
Yeah, then we can look forward to chilling on Friday evening, and I said that to you yesterday, didn't I? I was like, it will be, and then you were like, yeah, but it's not over.
Yeah, but I might be red and covered in hives. And
that's all right. I'll look after you. Yeah, but it's just done. I don't know. I always feel really. Do you feel relieved when you've done your hospital appointment?
Yeah, I do feel relieved. Obviously, I think it's side effects for more or less 24 hours, isn't it? So, the actual infusion is quite uncomfortable, and they control it with antihistamines. So you can imagine the kind of reaction that you have. Lots of redness and itching and hives and stuff like that. So that lasts for 24 hours. So that won't be super fun. But once that's over, then it's done. And I think from that point, then I'll be relieved because I can breathe, and I know it's 6 months until I've got to go back and do it again. It's the longest possible time from any time that I'd have to go and do it again. So yeah, that's good.
Well, I've got mine in December.
Yeah.
We're both back. Yeah, so we're both back on the same treatment now, which is
and we're going to be nicely staggered then, aren't we? So yeah, it's kind of worked out all right, hasn't it? Because we can't both go at the same time and be ill at the same time. At least one gets to look after the other while they're feeling better in their good period. What do you reckon your good period, or the period that your MS felt least active during the 6 months between your Ocrevus infusions?
I would say, well, at the moment, I feel all right. The best I've felt for 2-3 years, like, kind of thing.
Yeah, it is literally the midpoint for me as well, which you find weird because you've been pumped full of the infusion and you think it would start high and then peter out like as time went on, but it doesn't. It kind of builds in your system, and then like in the middle period, so in the 2nd to 4th month or something, is when you feel best, and then it starts to fade in the approach to the 6-month point.
I really noticed it last time because mine was obviously delayed, wasn't it? So I went a bit longer, and it was like, I don't know, I always, like, because of how I feel at the moment, I think it's easy to forget how it was to the point I couldn't even string a sentence together, and I was like, please give me my treatment. But yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say now again. Basically, this is a nice little starter episode to ease us back in. But I'd be interested to hear what other people do around their own hospital days and their own sort of like little routines and rituals, because I mean, I definitely have my own and you have your own. And
and we thought this was quite a relatable topic, isn't it? Because you don't have to have MS to have a hospital day. So I'm sure everyone can relate to it in one way or another, and even if you don't think you have rituals, you probably do. Like that's been brought to my attention. So and respect them, and respect the day, and respect the concerns around it, and treat yourself.
And you're
would
allowed,
be my advice.
And you're allowed to be a bit moody.
Just
kind of just give a heads up to the people around you. Like that's fine. But it's not. Well,
you had to point me out to myself, so but I'll give you a heads up next time.
Well, it'll just be a nightmare before. I think my next one's in December. But I think that's it. Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm all done. I'm all talked out.
I think we've done quite well.
I
did not think this episode was going to get done today, so I'm very proud of us for doing it, and I think in future it'll be better. Also, if anyone can tell us how to get this microphone situation like a bit better, would be great, because I don't know if anyone can actually hear anything we've just said. So,
I hope so.
I hope so too. But I mean, we have got a few ideas. We actually wrote out a whole other episode which was to do with coping mechanisms, which I suppose we can do at some point.
I think now we've got started, we can get back into a bit of a rhythm, get used to speaking to people other than you. I've pretty much just spoken to you.
But the thing is, you said to me the other day, you were like, we were having a really serious conversation about something MS related, and you were like, do you think this is what people just think we do all the time? Just talk about our MS, but we actually don't really, do we? So
that's why we found it so difficult to get back into doing this, because it's not something we talk about very often, and we talked about it on the hospital day, and pretty much aside from that, we tried to steer away from it a little bit, but it's all valuable, worth talking about.
And I think we both have quite interesting insight and, I don't know, into our own MS and things MS, and I think we could do some good episodes in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
But basically, thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you.
I will link our social medias in the description, and obviously, like I said, Sam's, so you guys can keep on top of what she's up to as well. And she also said she's definitely going to come back on the podcast with me, so I'm going to hold her to that. And also, if anyone wants to come on the podcast and just talk about any topic to do with MS, just drop us a DM, and we can sort that out. Obviously, Buster will have had his treatment on Friday, so he's not going to be wanting to podcast. So if anyone does want to podcast and talk about anything, just let me know. But I think that's everything.
And if anyone wants to ask any questions at any point, feel free to PM me. I've been on 3 treatments now, haven't I? I went Tecfidera, Ocrevus, stem cell transplant, and then back to Ocrevus. So it's been a pretty wild MS journey, even for an MS journey, and they're usually pretty wild. So if anyone wants to know anything more, then feel free to message me.
I think we should do an episode about WhatMS as well, because like I get so many DMs asking me about it.
Yeah. And it is very much the drug of the moment, isn't it? Since they approved it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I was the first one in the country to get it. My claim to fame.
It was.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll do that. We will do that in future. But yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Murphy says bye as well, and we will catch up with you soon.